December 14th, 2017. A day I had been looking forward to for a very long time. And why, might you ask? Well, this was the day I had my vaginoplasty. Oh, and by the way, this was also the same exact time I had a breast augmentation. Let me tell you, getting a vagina and breast implants during the same surgery, not the most pleasant experience waking up from that and recovering from that. I honestly wasn't even considering doing both at the same time until my doctor said that they could likely get the breast augmentation covered by health insurance. I mean, I was planning on getting a breast augmentation at some point eventually. It was definitely in the cards. But I figured this was a great opportunity to save a lot of money since I knew how difficult it could be, and often still is, to get insurance coverage for breast implants. And I also thought, since I was going to get a breast augmentation at some point eventually, better to do it now than just wait and do it later, right? I can enjoy having implants for more period of time. Yay. All that being said, I didn't really think about how rough it might be to have to go through recovery at the same time after having chest and genital surgeries. My chest was obviously sore, and I couldn't really lift much weight for a while, and walking and sitting was also quite uncomfortable for quite a while after having my vaginoplasty, not to mention the catheter I was on after surgery, and then the second catheter I was on after my revision surgery. Such a wonderful combination to have all of these things going on at the same time, on top of having those complications that I had that warranted having that revision for my vaginoplasty. Super fun. After saying all of this, you might be thinking that I absolutely would not recommend doing top and bottom surgeries at the same time, and I wouldn't blame you for thinking that way. But I think there are definitely some benefits for doing both at the same time. For one, I imagine that it was probably easier to get insurance coverage for the implant since I was having that done at the same time as my vaginoplasty, which was going to be covered by insurance. So kind of just scooping it in and doing it together may have made it easier. I'm not sure if that's the reason, but figured it couldn't hurt. And I imagine the doctor's office also knew how to advocate for patients like me to get it covered, so that could be something important to consider when looking for a doctor. But beyond that, I think a huge benefit of having both surgeries at the same time is that you don't have to set aside time and recovery time for two separate surgeries. Sure, the recovery is rough, but I was already planning on not doing much other than dilating and playing video games after my vaginoplasty and breast augmentation anyway. Might as well get the recovery process for two surgeries out of the way at the same time rather than having to set aside two different surgery dates, go under anesthesia twice, which has its own risks for, going under surgery multiple times, and then also having to set aside two separate sets of dates to have time to recover. Obviously, the recovery for breast implants is nowhere near what the recovery is like for a vaginoplasty, but I would still likely do both surgeries at the same time if I went back in time and had a chance to make this decision all over again. I probably would just go with a different surgeon, as I've mentioned in the past. But what about other surgeries at the same time? I have heard people considering or even getting facial feminization surgery and vaginoplasty at the same time. Knowing what it was like to recover from FFS, I would probably advise against doing FFS at the same time as really any other surgery, at least depending on the number of facial feminization procedures that you are getting. After FFS, my face was ridiculously swollen. It takes months for that swelling to fully go down. A lot of it goes down within the first few weeks, but for it to fully go down takes months. And everything was sore for quite a while. Parts of my face were numb for a while. Jaw contouring, and that's a whole fun thing to deal with. And I also had terrible headaches for quite a while from the pain and, just the pain. And I would say I was able to manage the pain much quicker than most people, but it still wasn't fun. I think you could recover from FFS and SRS at the same time, but I think that would be a pretty intense and awful recovery process. Most people do struggle with recovering from just FFS or just a vaginoplasty, so putting them together, probably not worth it. Unless you get like some Groupon BOGO deal, and then probably wouldn't want to be going to that surgeon in the first place anyway. But now, I'm going to turn it over to all of you. What are your thoughts on having multiple transition surgeries at the same time, whatever the surgeries may be? Is this something you're considering doing, or is this something you have done? And if you have done this, what was the recovery experience like for you? And would you recommend getting more than one surgery at once to anyone else based on your experiences? Let me know all of this and so much more down in the comments below. And as always, Tipsy and I love you all and hope you're staying safe and sound. If you have not done so already, please be sure to give this a huge thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and notification bell. I love you all. Bye for now.